Welcome everyone to my Hulk MCU S.H Figuarts collection. Of course, Bandai last month just released the Avengers Assemble edition, and I thought I'd do a discussion on whether it's going to be worth picking that one up as well, especially if you have some of the previous Hulks. So overall, Tamashii Nations have just released all the Hulk figures from every team-up movie, and of course they have some of the other characters as well, including Captain America, the Iron Man Mark 6 and 4. And out of all of them, the only one I've picked up so far is the 4 character, as his look is a lot different to some of the previous figures, and also some of the accessories I really like. But for a character like Hulk, as he's so tall and big, more so than your average figure, I feel that there isn't really a need to go and get that one so quickly, since I already have a range of his looks from the other films. So the first one is the Age of Ultron, which was released around the time the movie was out. And this was when Bandai were kind of inexperienced in making the live action characters. They only really released Iron Man and War Machines, so this was their first attempt in making the Avengers team. And to me, all of the characters kind of had this cartoon slash animated style to it, at least for Hulk and Captain America. And I feel that the figure is kind of outdated now. I think they've improved a lot in terms of the realism, the paint, as well as the sculpt. So this one can kind of come off as a comic Hulk, should I say, because it has that cartoon look. And since I don't have any other Marvel Hulks, I thought this would be okay in my comic collection. Of course, I do have the rest of the Age of Ultron characters, so putting this with them would still kind of work. And the other thing that I think a lot of people weren't too pleased with this figure was that it was too green. Looking at the colors, it's way too bright for the movie version. And the other thing was actually the articulation. Now the figure has decent movement, but you can see that it kind of creates these massive gaps in between, which is very unrealistic. And even if you twist the body, you can see that it creates these huge gaps whilst doing it. So it's not the best in terms of realism, but in terms of the sculpt, I think it's okay. And how it compares to the latest edition is, of course, this one is not as realistic. There is no hair chest, and of course the trousers are not ripped. This one is just your standard one, and you also have the Avengers logo on it, which I actually really like. Now this one doesn't really look like any of the Hulk MCU movie versions, but I think if you have the rest of the Age of Ultron line, I think it's worth having a go, because I don't think this figure is that rare or expensive. So if you have the chance to maybe just get one Hulk in his definitive look and you have kind of like a budget, this one would be okay. And the other things that it comes with was the alternate head sculpt, which is also an aggressive face. And it's okay, it kind of looks more realistic than the really open mouth version. But I actually like this one more so than the slightly smaller mouth open. And then the other accessories was these grapple hands, and they don't have articulation like the latest Avengers Assemble. And you can see they've also painted the nails on this one. So apart from really the color and the articulation, I think the looks is actually not too bad. So I would actually give this like a 6 out of 10. And yeah, it's worth considering if you don't have any Hulks at all. And next we have the big improvement version, the Infinity War one. And to me, this is actually one of my favorite Infinity War S.H Figuarts. Just the sheer size and the sculpt of it. And you can see it's a major improvement compared to the Age of Ultron. I think by this time, Tamashii Nations were quite experienced in making the MCU line, and they were building a massive collection. And you can see the paint is a lot better this time, a lot more darker, and then the shading is a lot better. The face sculpt is the standard one, and you can see it's very realistic. It's probably very close to what we see in the Infinity War. And to me, this was actually the best representation of Hulk, apart from maybe his solo movie in the MCU. I think he really had this chance to shine and battle against Thanos. So yeah, I do like this Hulk a lot. And you can see that it doesn't really have the hair chest. I think by then he didn't have it in this film. and obviously the hairstyle is a bit shorter than his Avengers Assemble edition. There is ripped parts in the trousers, only slightly. I think the latest one has it all the way below the knees. This one is only bits, which is okay. So it does come with the closed fists. And this one, they actually fixed the articulation. So if you move his body and his arms, they kind of have the right sculpt in there. So it's not as bad as the Age of Ultron one. So this is a fantastic figure, and I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 because just the way they've made it. There's really no need to go for the Assemble one if you have this, in my opinion, because this would just take the limelight out of this. So the other head sculpt is you get this grin, or not grin, it's like an aggressive kind of face with the teeth gritting out. And then we have the open mouth, aggressive, and you also get the grapple hands, which again is pretty standard, no movement. So yeah, that's the Infinity War one. And last is the Endgame edition, which of course is not a definitive look of Hulk. You can see he's in his time travel suit, and by this movie he was a changed man. He was more of a Bruce Banner more than Hulk, in my opinion, and he really never got his time to shine in the Endgame final battle, which was kind of disappointing. And even the face sculpt is quite realistic, but I don't think it quite looked like the Hulk we saw in the movie. Of course, he also wore glasses, and I think his hair was slightly different. This one kind of looks a bit longer, and it's a very basic figure. I mean, if you have the Endgame collection, you probably do want this. I know that I think Marvel Select also have a version, which you may want to consider, but this one's pretty simple. It does have your usual articulation, and then of course movement in the hands, and then the fists. Now the thing I didn't like about this figure is not much accessories. You only get the alternate head sculpt, which was just eyes looking to the side, and 2 hands, the grapple hands. Apart from that, there was no glasses, which he could have had, and there was no Infinity Gauntlet either, or the Nano Gauntlet, should I say. And you had to buy the Iron Spider figure for that, and I did do a video where I fitted it on. Other than that, I think it was a big disappointment, and I gave the Age of Ultron a 6. This one will probably be a 5. It's actually more lower than the Age of Ultron edition. At least this one has the definitive kind of look, and I really like this aggressive face. This one just seems too bland, and of course there's no challenge for the latest Assemble or the Infinity War edition. So of course, if you're a big collector of the MCU and you want almost all the characters, you would go for this. But other than that, I think it's not really a choice if you had to choose this between the Assemble one and this one. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and of course stay tuned for more. You also check the links in the description below for more videos. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.